Buddhism is a religion or philosophy that originated in India about 2,500 years ago. It is based on the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, who is known as the Buddha or the Awakened One. Buddhism teaches that life is full of suffering and that the cause of suffering is ignorance, attachment, and craving. Buddhism also teaches that there is a way to end suffering, and that is by following the path of wisdom, morality, and meditation. Buddhism has many branches and traditions, but they all share some common beliefs and practices. The life of the Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama was born in a royal family of the Shakya clan in northern India around the 6th or 5th century BCE. He lived a luxurious life, but he was troubled by the sight of old age, sickness, and death. He realized that he and everyone else would have to face these realities, and he wondered if there was a way to overcome them. He decided to renounce his worldly life and seek the truth. He became an ascetic, practicing various forms of self-mortification and meditation. He studied with different teachers, but he was not satisfied with their teachings. He realized that neither indulgence nor extreme austerity could lead to liberation. He then discovered the middle way, a balanced approach that avoids the extremes of pleasure and pain. He sat under a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya and resolved not to get up until he attained enlightenment. He meditated for 49 days and faced many temptations and challenges from Mara, the Lord of Illusion. He finally realized the true nature of reality and became the Buddha, the Awakened One. He then began to teach what he had realized and attracted many followers. He traveled throughout northern India, spreading his message of compassion, wisdom, and liberation. He established a community of monks and nuns called the Sangha, who followed his teachings and practiced his methods. He also taught lay people who supported the Sangha and observed ethical precepts. He died at the age of 80 after eating a spoiled meal. He entered nirvana, the state of ultimate peace and freedom from suffering. The Four Noble Truths. The core of the Buddha's teaching is the Four Noble Truths, which are the truth of suffering, dukkha. Life is full of suffering, which includes physical pain, emotional distress, dissatisfaction, and impermanence. Everything that we experience is unsatisfactory because it is subject to change and decay. We suffer because we cling to things that are not lasting or reliable. The truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya. The cause of suffering is ignorance, attachment, and craving. Ignorance is the lack of understanding of the true nature of reality, which is impermanent, interdependent, and empty of inherent existence. Attachment is the desire to hold on to things that we like and to avoid things that we dislike. Craving is the thirst for sensual pleasure, existence, or non-existence. These three poisons of the mind lead to actions that create karma, the law of cause and effect. Karma determines our rebirth in the cycle of samsara, the endless wandering in the realms of existence, which are full of suffering. The truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha. The end of suffering is possible, and it is the attainment of nirvana, the state of ultimate peace and freedom from ignorance, attachment, and craving. Nirvana is not a place or a thing, but a state of mind that is free from delusion and defilement. Nirvana is the extinction of the fires of greed, hatred, and delusion, which are the causes of suffering. Nirvana is also the cessation of samsara, the cycle of rebirth, which is driven by karma. Nirvana is the ultimate goal of Buddhism, and it can be achieved in this very life or after death. The truth of the path to the cessation of suffering, magga. The way to end suffering and attain nirvana is by following the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the middle way between indulgence and austerity. The Noble Eightfold Path consists of 8 factors that can be grouped into 3 categories: wisdom, morality, and meditation. The 8 factors are right view, the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, and the nature of reality as impermanent, interdependent, and empty. Right intention, the motivation to renounce worldly attachments and to cultivate compassion, kindness, and harmlessness. Right speech, the abstention from lying, slander, harsh words and idle chatter, and the use of truthful, gentle, and beneficial speech. Right action, the abstention from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct and intoxicants, and the performance of wholesome deeds. Right livelihood, the avoidance of occupations that harm oneself or others, such as trading in weapons, animals, intoxicants or poisons, and the pursuit of occupations that support oneself and others, such as farming, crafts, or services. Right effort, the cultivation of positive mental states and the prevention or elimination of negative mental states, such as greed, hatred, and delusion. Right mindfulness, the awareness of the present moment and the observation of one's body, feelings, mind, and phenomena without attachment or aversion. Right concentration, the development of mental focus and stability through the practice of various forms of meditation, such as breath meditation, loving-kindness meditation, or insight meditation. The three jewels. The Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha are the three jewels of Buddhism, and they are the objects of refuge for Buddhists. Taking refuge means to rely on these three jewels for guidance, protection, and inspiration. Taking refuge also means to commit oneself to the Buddhist path and to follow its teachings and practices. The Buddha. The Buddha is the teacher who shows the way to enlightenment. He is not a god or a savior, but a human being who achieved the highest state of awakening. He is the example and the ideal for Buddhists to emulate. There are many Buddhas, not just one, and anyone can become a Buddha by following the same path. The Buddha also refers to the Buddha nature, the potential for enlightenment that exists in all beings, the Dharma. The Dharma is the teaching of the Buddha and the truth of reality. It includes the scriptures, the doctrines, the methods, and the experiences of Buddhism. The Dharma is the medicine that cures the disease of suffering. The Dharma is also the law of nature, the way things are, and the way things work. The Dharma is not a dogma or a creed, but a guide and a tool for liberation. The Sangha. The Sangha is the community of Buddhists who support each other on the path to enlightenment. It includes the monastic order, who dedicate their lives to the practice and propagation of the Dharma, and the lay followers, who observe the ethical precepts and participate in the rituals and ceremonies of Buddhism. The Sangha is also the assembly of noble ones who have attained various stages of realization and who serve as models and mentors for other Buddhists. The 5 precepts. The 5 precepts are the basic ethical guidelines for Buddhists, and they are to abstain from killing living beings. This means to respect all forms of life and to avoid harming or destroying them. It also means to cultivate compassion and non-violence and to promote peace and harmony. To abstain from taking what is not given. This means to respect the property and rights of others and to avoid stealing or cheating. It also means to be generous and charitable and to share one's resources and talents. To abstain from sexual misconduct. This means to respect the dignity and integrity of oneself and others and to avoid sexual behavior that is harmful, abusive, or exploitative. It also means to be faithful and loyal and to cultivate love and respect in one's relationships. To abstain from false speech. This means to respect the truth and the trust of others and to avoid lying, slandering, or deceiving. It also means to be honest and sincere and to use speech that is beneficial, kind, and harmonious. To abstain from intoxicants that cloud the mind. This means to respect the clarity and purity of one's mind and to avoid substances that impair one's judgment, awareness, or morality. It also means to be mindful and alert and to cultivate wisdom and understanding. The different schools of Buddhism. Buddhism has many schools and traditions which differ in their doctrines, practices, and cultural expressions. However, they all share the same core teachings of the Buddha, and they all aim at the same goal of enlightenment. Some of the major schools of Buddhism are Theravada. Theravada means the way of the elders, and it is the oldest and most conservative school of Buddhism. It is based on the Pali Canon, the earliest collection of Buddhist scriptures, and it emphasizes the original teachings of the Buddha, such as the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the Three Jewels. Theravada focuses on the individual's effort to attain nirvana, and it regards the Buddha as a human teacher, not a divine being. Theravada is mainly practiced in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos. Mahayana means the great vehicle, and it is the largest and most diverse school of Buddhism. It is based on various scriptures, called sutras, that were written in Sanskrit and later translated into Chinese, Tibetan, and other languages. It emphasizes the universal nature of the Buddha